Hi, this is Koko's channel, and since I have 1,000 subscribers, I would like to make a new type of videos on my channel, which will be interviews with the successful or not so successful businessmen, mostly in Switzerland, of course my friends as well, who are in HoReCa or F&B business, so they have restaurants, hotels, bars, nightclubs, strip clubs, whatsoever. And the first guest tonight is actually Monsieur Fedin. He was in charge of opening a restaurant in Montreux, which was, how many seats did you have? About 40 seats?
45, being honest.
So
actually, wait. 55, 65 if we'll count the terrace on the outside.
So it's 65 seats. And I forgot to do something in the beginning, so I will do it in editing. I couldn't come with empty hands, and I know that you're connoisseur of a Scottish tea, so I brought you some Scottish tea, and this will make this interview easier.
This is a pretty damn bad Scottish tea.
Well, this is the best I could find in this evening, so.
Sorry for you.
How long have your project been in Montreux? Counting day one when you decided to open a restaurant?
Depends what do you mean by question how long has it been? How long has it been since the
day one?
The idea, since the renovation starts, since we signed the contract,
from
since
the
we
idea,
opened the...
From the idea to the first opening day?
Let me see, it's been 1 year actually.
1 year?
Yeah, now if we take really day one, it's been 1 year.
Until now, or until the first day that it opened?
Until now.
So it's 1 year from the idea that you wanted to open the restaurant until now?
Yeah, exactly.
And why did you decide to open a restaurant here?
Well, we thought it's a good location, Montreux, and we had some opportunities in the good environment to open this business.
And how did you find a place like that in Montreux? Because you're right, like I can see the lake right now. Almost.
We built the house.
Okay. Would you agree that place is the most important for the restaurant business?
Depends which type of business.
For you, restaurant business.
No, I mean depends which type of restaurant you're talking about. Because you have to count the impact, estimate the impact of the location. Depends on which type of restaurant, bar or cafe you're willing to open.
Right. Okay. So what you're saying, if you're a 3 Michelin star, the place doesn't matter as much as, for example, if you're.
Yeah.
Okay. And if we put back 1 year, would you want to open something else? Because this is the meat restaurant. Your uniqueness was the meat. Would you change your idea of the restaurant?
No, given the.
If you had a chance.
Given the concept we have. Let's put it in present. Given the concept of the restaurant, this is really a good location for this. My words were just to say that location in certain types of restaurants, bars and all the stuff like this, it's not the most important. It has a certain importance, but depending on what you would like to open, it's not the most important.
Okay. And as far as I remember, it used to be a pub here, a bar.
Oh yeah, it's been a while.
Well, a while ago.
Yeah, like 4 years ago.
Yeah. Would you tell our audience that bar would be more profitable than opening a restaurant, or would it be easier in management terms?
I wouldn't say so, because we had to consider the outcomes for the whole building and the environment. As it was considered to be the whole new building, it would be quite difficult to obtain all the permissions to open the bar. And we would have a lot of difficulties with the locals if we would want to reopen the bar as it was the bar. So the restaurant was the best solution in this case.
Okay.
And by my own meaning, here in Montreux, looking at the local market, right now, bar is not the best option.
And if we go into some technical questions, do you remember how long did it take you to get the license for this place?
It's not the license that's the problem. It's
The patent?
the patent. Well, you know, as soon as you have the place that goes with all norms and with all conditions, then it's not difficult. It takes 1 month and it's done.
So it took you 1 month. So
It's nothing difficult. As soon as you have the place where it was the bar before, or the place that you have the permission to use as a bar from the local authorities, it's not a problem to get the permission to the license.
Right. And in what conditions was the place when you took over? Because you've done the whole renovation here, right?
It was like only beton walls and ceilings.
Right. So no kitchen, no toilets, no nothing.
Nothing.
You've renovated everything.
Yeah.
And a question about the furniture. You had an architect and designer who was doing the design project for this restaurant, right?
Well, mostly it was only our wishes and desires, if you want. We didn't have a particular designer to make the place, because designer, like a really good one, costs a lot. So we had to base on our own experience and wishes.
And where did you get the furniture like that? Is it Swiss, European, or
European, Eastern European.
Talking about coffee machines, because I tried your coffee before and I really liked it. Did you sign a contract for leasing for the coffee machine? Okay. Which brand is it? Okay. Since you mentioned before this, your USP was the meat on the grill, as I understood, because this was a meat restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right? Okay. So the question is about meat suppliers in Switzerland. Did you face any? But is it hard to find a supplier in Switzerland for meat? It's not hard.
Well, depends on the price quality question.
Well, for
sometimes it's easier to find it in Europe.
Right.
Sometimes even in Argentina.
Yeah, that's globalization.
Yeah, exactly.
But did you have this uniqueness that you were serving only Swiss meat, or?
We had some products that were served as Swiss only, and we had this uniqueness. But I wouldn't say that it has it was considered to be a strong point of the restaurant. Finally, what is count to be a good product is what the client receives.
Experience.
Yeah, exactly, on plate. Doesn't really matter if it was Swiss or Argentinian or European or.
As soon as it tastes good, it's
exactly
good to go. And that's a tricky question. The next one. How do you test the quality of your ingredients?
Good question. We had some few degustation settings with with the whole team of the restaurant and my friends as well. So we just choose by the taste of the meat, and sometimes it was not the most expensive meat we choose that tastes really good. From my opinion, I can say that it was like third position, third or sometimes even fourth position, depending if we're taking into account the.
And since this restaurant is in Switzerland, and you said that it was team who was deciding, or the degustation team who was deciding what should you put in the menu and what should you take out of the menu, it was a democratic choice, so you actually had a votation?
No, it was the democratic choice.
So
it was a blind test, if you wish. We just have sample 1 to 10, and the whole team was chosen among the samples.
Oh, this is actually great. I didn't know that. And talking about the team, so we slowly going into the HR questions, which is human resources. How many people you had in a team in the beginning?
6.
6.
Yeah, and
was
it was
that
too,
enough?
It
or
was too much.
Too much.
3 is enough. For a
Okay.
small restaurant, 3 is enough.
But-
It's sometimes even more than enough.
But if we go to the technical questions, those would you agree that you don't need to have 6 people with a fixed contract? You could do
I
the
would agree with this.
temporary one.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
3 is enough.
paper hour basically. But then you would do your chef was fixed and the
And the servant, how do we call that? Waiter, exactly. Waiter.
Well, the chef,
Yeah.
the chef waiter.
Yeah.
Okay. So just 2 with a fixed contract.
Well, with the fixed contract, we have chef, sous chef, and 1 waiter on full time and 1 waiter on 50%.
Okay. And have you faced high employee turnover rate here?
At the beginning, yes.
So that they were changing and changing?
Yeah, the first like 6 months we had, in total, we changed like 8 waiters. We had a chance with the chief, so he was here from the beginning, but the waiters, it's really where it goes.
Did you look for the students for extra help? Like an extra?
Yeah, we had few.
Okay.
Cannot say that it was a good experience with the students, being honest.
Because not enough experience from them?
Yeah,
or-
not enough experience, and for small places like this, it's better to have someone fixed with whom you can. It's easier to manage the team when you have a fixed person,
Right.
fixed personnel. And the students sometimes they have their own issues with the time and with the management, and
Okay.
it's just sometimes easier to.
And if you remember, were the students from the hotel schools or just?
Yeah, exactly. We had
Okay.
one, but didn't go well.
Okay. Were you dealing only with the EU and Swiss nationals, or? Oh, so you prefer tea from Guatemala? It's dark.
Oh, it's just your tea that sucks.
Is that normal? Anyway, just put the label back so YouTube will not block me. Us. It's us. It's all about us. 2 more questions about human resources. Actually, 3. You ran away from the last one. Were you dealing only with EU and Swiss nationals, or it doesn't really matter for
It
you?
doesn't really matter for me.
Okay. Where and how do you hire people?
Sometimes it was from the connections
Mhm.
of the staff. Sometimes it was from the publicity that we gave on the local sites. So it depends.
Websites. So it's
Websites,
like
yeah.
50-50 basically.
Yeah, mostly about 50-50.
What's your management style? Like, are you more democratic style or more like Saddam Hussein style?
Yeah, you have to know one thing. You cannot be really democratic style in the restaurant business.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's mostly about Saddam Hussein style with a slight democratic flavor.
Okay, so you give them the flavor of democracy.
No. They were all about Saddam Hussein style.
Okay.
Just sometimes they had the freedom to choose something, and you have to always welcome the.
Initiative.
Exactly. You have to always welcome the initiative.
Initiative.
Even if it's bad initiative, you have to always welcome, because like this, they feel that they can really change something in this place. Well, they don't, but they must feel that they have this power to change something altogether. And sometimes when they're all together, they can give some really good advices. You have to always listen to your team, but don't forget that at the end of the day, you decide what they do.
Exactly.
And you don't let them forget that at the end of the day you decide what they do.
Exactly.
The only thing they could do is make some propositions.
Exactly.
Good.
Jesus God, that was scary. Lighter question. Do you have a sense of humor? And do you,
Of course I do.
do you think humor is important for the restaurant
Of course,
business?
for sure, especially in HR.
And since you answered yes, did you break even with the restaurant? You don't have to answer this one.
Next question.
You actually did answer. So, is there a chef that you admire the most?
Of course.
Who?
Chef
Name?
Patrick Bardel.
Patrick Fedin. Why him?
Because I put most of the tasks on him.
So it's your chef, basically. The chef that was working
Yeah, exactly.
with you.
He was in charge of the restaurant. We put the most of the responsibility of his shoulders, and he managed to.
We should have invited him in the interview as well.
For sure. If you want, he can come. You
Well,
want,
that's
you,
a
want
bit
me
too late
to,
now.
you want me to call him? He will come. For sure.
Does he speak English?
No.
Yeah, it would be difficult for him.
But if you
And
want,
anyway,
I
I thought
can
you would say
remember
me,
about
but yes.
Saddam Hussein's
But
thing.
you didn't tell
He will
Koko
come
Cooks.
for sure.
You didn't say Koko Cooks, you bastard. Talking about the chef and how good he was, what's for you main principle of success or failure? Let's start with the success. How a successful person wakes up in the morning? What time do you usually wake up?
Oh, it depends on what time I went to bed. But it's not this thing which makes person successful. It's quite easy. Well, you know, you have all these answers right here on the website. First thing, if you decide to do something, you have to do it. Till the end. Not on 50%, not at 60%, not at 80%. The task done at 80% is task not fulfilled. 100 or nothing.
Who said that?
Me.
Okay. Any other main principles of success?
That's the basic one.
And it takes the most time, I guess.
Yeah.
So always finish what you started. 100%. 80% is not 100%. Even 99.9% is not 100%.
You know, you got the thing. You got
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah.
Good.
Next question is a bit vague. It's about hidden waterstones in the business. Could you could you share any bright moments that you coming to the restaurant and you're like, shit, I didn't think about it. Something that you cannot predict. Do you have any stories like this to share?
Well, you have to know one thing. In this business, you cannot predict shit.
Shit, you mean?
Nothing.
Okay.
If you think that you can predict something, you have to consider that there will always be something that you cannot predict. So you have to be ready for everything, and you just have to take it. You know, you cannot just start to be an over-controlled freak, because there will be always something you cannot predict. You just have to go with the flow. If there is something that happens, it happens. You just deal with it. Go looking for a solution. It's
Okay.
quite simple.
Some wise men told me that when you do forecasting, you basically usually do the three types of forecasting. So you do the optimistic, realistic, and pessimistic one. And basically in real life, what you do is you take pessimistic, you multiply time that you need by 2, cost that you forecasted by 2, and you divide profits that you forecasted by 2. Would you say this is reality or?
Yeah, that's kind of less, more or less.
Okay, so you're in a
Yeah.
team of these wise men now as well in the restaurant business. Question for you: how many hours per day you should work on your business to make this business successful as the owner of the business?
As a restaurant business,
Yeah,
24.
24/7
Exactly.
at least. This is the minimum.
This is the minimum. Sometimes I wish I had more, like 3 or 4 hours more of the day.
Okay. And when are you the happiest during the work time? Sorry. Now during the interview?
Never. When I sold it, a lot of questions. I mean, when Denise was in charge, I was the happiest. Seriously, that 1 month, it was like the happiest moments of my life since 1 year.
Oh, you're beautiful. Special questions. These are the fast questions that I'll ask you the question and you answer it as long as you want. So,
Do you have a cigarette? No, because the ventilation is not working.
yeah. Well, that question was actually.
Doesn't matter. Give me the cigarette.
Are you gonna smoke here?
Yeah, it's my restaurant. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Actually, what's the current trends in the restaurant business? Are you following them? Some Tarantino style shit.
It's different for every type of restaurant.
Okay. Swiss wine or French beer?
Swiss wine.
Meat or fish?
Meat.
Eat more and sleep less, or sleep more and eat less?
Sleep more and eat less.
What could you say for the people that want to open a restaurant, not exactly in Switzerland, maybe in Europe or anywhere in the world, basically?
Don't open it.
Don't open it, dot, or don't open it because...
Don't open it. Dot. Unless you love this shit.
Okay. And the last question...
Because if you love this shit, you can open it whenever you want. But you have to love it.
Okay. Well, I guess it's not only for restaurant business, it's for any business that you try to open.
Exactly.
And the last question doesn't have to be personal, but can you give the range of the budget for the restaurant, so like to feel good, so like with a golden parachute or with...
It's okay, I can give you the answer. Whatever your budget is, multiply it by 2.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's about it. Thank you very much for the questions. I hope you like my tea. That's not my tea.
Not as much as I like
You're
mine.
drinking another
Yeah,
tea
I
now.
know.
And that's about it.